Hello goat lovers, Crystal here with Blue Cactus Dairy Goats, and I am back. So Maybelline, whew, it's been a day. Maybelline and Abilene, we had two does in labor today, and Miss Maybelline gave us two beautiful, beautiful kids. So her first was this really super healthy looking little chamois. She's got blue eyes. And she's horned, but man, is she beautiful. She's a stout little thing. It's always nice when you can see the stout little kids being born. And this guy's super stout. He is gorgeous. So both of these kids are Vaders. So Vader was, he only had two does this year. So he had Dreamer, which you guys have seen, and Maybelline. Those are the two does that he bred, and only one of them turned out to look like him. I mean, his sides are not as flashy as Vader. He doesn't have like a rooster or anything. But man, if there's a little dude that looks like Vader, it's this guy. He's pretty. Yes. And he's super stout, which again, is always really nice to see. Super healthy kids. So, came out in the morning, noticed that Maybelline was definitely bred. Now, Maybelline was in the stall. We already had her in the stall because her due date was yesterday. So she was in here the night before. I didn't really suspect that she would actually be in labor today just because she didn't have a lot of udder development, and her ligaments were kind of squishy but also kind of hard. So I just did not think that, I thought there was a chance she would not give birth today. But when I came out here this morning, she was quite talkative. I could tell that her udder had bagged up quite a bit more. And she's super fresh right now, so she's still trying to pass her placenta. But, so these two kids came out. First it was a little chamois doe. Chamois is just the coat pattern, the coloring. And then her buck, who was pretty big. He's a big boy. But she passed him very well, very easily also. And then, let me see if she'll just let me love on her because she is precious. Oh, I love her. I really don't want to let her go, but she is for sale. But anyway, these two, you know, she did really good with. And then she was cleaning them up. Rather, it took her a while. Let me go back to that. So after this girl was born, she was just like, what happened to me? She was upset. So I was trying to put the baby in front of her. Of course, I cleaned the mouth and everything, but not the entire body because I want her to lick her and get to learn how to be a mom, right? You want that instinct to come into play, but she was just not having it for quite a while. She was just like, what are you? Ew, ew. And just the fact of what happened, that hurt. So she took a minute, but then once she started licking her, and then she got into it and she was good to go. Third baby. These two came out okay. Third baby, it was like she was cleaning them up, and it was like 15 minutes or something. It was taking too long, but she was pushing. You could see another bubble. I could feel another kid. There was something else in there, and I knew it. But it was obviously giving her complications because she wasn't able to push the baby out. Again, she would try. She'd go into contractions and try to push the baby out, and then just stop. And like 4 minutes later, she'd do it again and then stop. And then again and stop. So I knew something was going on. So I just kind of barely went in just to try to see what the heck is going on here. And I thought at first that I just felt the muzzle. But it wasn't the muzzle. I think after all of it, and then I was like, well, gosh dang it, she might be breech. I did have to go in and retrieve the kid, and she was pushing so hard. Because when you go into a doe, if you have to assist, they push. And she was just pushing so hard, it sends them into contractions again. And as hard as she was pushing, it was hard for me to push the baby back in. It was like almost impossible, to be honest. And it was, I thought I made sense of it. I thought at that point it's like, okay, this is a breech kid because I can feel a leg that's back. And what it ended up being, in the end, what I believe it to be, was the head crooked back and both feet underneath it. So there's no way she would have been able to pass that kid. So in the end, I had to just, because she wouldn't let me push it in. I could tell it was a smaller kid, so I knew I could help her pull it out, and I did. And that kid, it didn't make it. And of course it was a little doe. Not that it matters, because when you lose one, it sucks. But Maybelline is doing really, really good. Aren't you, baby? So now she is taking care of her babies, or she got motherly on them anyway, and I did have to help her clean them up a little because it was so windy and it was getting cold and they were shivering, and I just didn't want them to be super cold. But yes, so point being, at the end of this, Maybelline did have triplets. Let me love you. It's okay. It's okay. She did have triplets in there. The last one did not make it. Just, I don't know exactly. Probably how I had to pull her out, potentially. But she was really little also. So she was just super little. It was kind of like the Dreamer scenario. But Dreamer had one tiny one. The second one was a little bit bigger. And then the third one was the large one. Whereas her last one was the little one, all tangled up in a horrible, horrible position. And I just couldn't push the kid back. I just couldn't. She was pushing back too hard. It was sending her in too hard of a contraction. So I knew I had to save Maybelline, and I always, always save your dough first. So anyway, that was a pretty big bummer. Really, 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 really big bummer. It's been a long time since I haven't been able to save a kid that you've had to go in and retrieve. And it's not a good feeling. But it is a good feeling that she does have two super healthy kids, and she is doing okay. So, of course, I gave her some Jump Start. She got an antibiotic shot because I did go in. I'm always going to give antibiotics if you have to go in, just in case there's any infection. Want to get ahead of it before anything may happen. So, all the while this is going on, Abilene's in the next stall. We'll go in there in a second, but Abilene's in the next stall, and she's starting to push. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm going to get these kids out, and she's going to be over there just pushing and having her babies while we're over here. Of course, I had my handy-dandy little Emily in there with her, comforting her, but still, I was getting nervous. So, but Maybelline and her two babies are doing awesome. I mean, she's doing really well considering. This was her first labor, poor baby, and she had to have me assist. She didn't see the kids. She didn't see the third kid, so you all right, girl, aren't you? Yeah, she's good. So she'll continue to have just mild contractions, and she should pass that. It's typically within the first hour. I've noticed them after all the labor. Typically within the first hour they will pass it, and it's only been just over an hour since she's dropped these kids on the ground. So we're still good. I'm not worried about it at all. She's looking really good. She's up on her feet. She's fed her babies. So again, all things considered, she's a rock star, and they are all doing good, and that's what matters. And they're just so precious. Both of them are blue-eyed, but they didn't get the polled, naturally hornless from their mama. They got their daddy's horns. But that's okay, huh? Gorgeous.
What is she looking at?
She's looking at the babies over there, huh? She's like, what you got over there? Are those mine? Alright, so let's go check on Abilene. So first up was this little baby. Are you mad? Hey, hey, hey.
Whoa.
No. You're pretty serious, eh? There you go. Crazy. She was the firstborn. So after that incident with the last kid with Maybelline, of course you're nervous anyway. And then I was extra nervous because I didn't want anything like that to happen again. This little kid's bubble comes out, and all you can see is this in the bubble. A tail, and I could tell she was a girl because that's all you could see. So what does that mean? Great, this kid is breech. So she was pushing her out pretty easily, actually. It was going pretty well for her. Like with each push, there was progression. This bubble was coming out. The kid's butt was coming out further. So I knew she was going to be okay, and I wasn't going to need to push her back in and reposition or grab a leg to get the kid out. I could tell just because of what I could see, her bum was okay, like as far as size-wise. She's a good, healthy kid, but Abilene's also a pretty wide doe, so from thorough to thorough. She's got good width, so I wasn't too worried about her to where I would have had to push her back in. But I did have to kind of just, as she was pushing, I did kind of grab in and try to grab those legs out, and that's what helped get her out. Just a little bit easier than if she would have been sitting there pushing for 30 minutes. And then this little girl, she's little girl number 2, and she is just black and white with blue eyes, which is gorgeous. She came out second, no issues. And right after this little boy here. And he looks like his sissy, but he's got the white band on him, which is pretty cool. And they're all really super healthy, so they all came out blue-eyed. I was hoping for some moon spots, but it looks like just this little one moon spot. That's the only one I've noticed. One little moon spot that's almost the same color as her other hair, so it's kind of a hidden moon spot, but she can still throw them. And of course, with this combination with Champ and Abilene, there wasn't an option for any polled or anything, so all of the little kitties are horned. But she went a lot better, obviously, than Maybelline. But yeah, so 2 birthings today, and she held out just in enough time for me to get over here to help her. I was wondering the whole time, going back and forth, man, who's it gonna be first? Because then she had slime and then no slime, and then she had slime and then no slime, and it was just kind of a back and forth thing. So I was just certain they would both give birth at the same time. But Abilene was a good girl, and she held out for me, huh? Yes, she did. Doing all right. And they have drained her. Everybody is eaten from Maybelline and Abilene, and Abilene's pretty much drained at this point. So every kid's got their colostrum from their mama. So they should have a really good start. And they're just adorable. So, crazy guys, because this is actually, let's see, that's 5 does that have kidded out of 20. We still have 15 more to go. We had a really good start, and then it was like doe number 4 kind of had a bad last kid there, and that kind of stinks. And then Abilene's was pretty good also, other than, you know, she needed a little assistance with the breech, but not much, nothing traumatic or anything like that. Let me think here. We got, at this point, we have 7 does and 6 bucks. So does are still winning, so that's a plus. But yeah, 15 more does to go. We are just in the beginning of all of this. So here's the thing. We actually have a gauntlet ahead of us right now. Hopefully we can get it done before the sun goes down. If you guys saw that first little baby, one of Dreamer's babies, the first baby born here, she is in the house right now still because I came out and she was frozen almost to death. Literally seconds from death. And she's doing quite a bit better. She's in the house romping around and stuff. Well, not romping around. She's kind of being very watched over. But either way, she's a lot healthier. I don't even know how she's alive. But either way, she almost froze, and that's how we almost lost her. She got away from her mom, where she's huddled up, staying warm with her mom, and she was just kind of by the water bucket, by herself. And when I picked her up, she was just like a solid rock. There was no, her legs couldn't bend, nothing. It was just a solid rock. And I don't even know how she's alive, but she is, and that's awesome. But these does, it's gonna get down to 27 tonight. And when it gets down to 27, when we see that on, you know, on the weather app, it always says, oh, it's 27, and then it feels like 22 when you wake up, or it feels like 20 when you wake up. So it gets really cold on some nights, and this is one of those nights that it's going to get super, super cold. And I'm not going to risk losing another baby. I'm not going to risk waking up to a half-frozen kid. So tonight we are separating all of the babies from the moms. So I'm gonna have to separate the does and get them into the milk pen to where they'll be in their own pen. It's just the milkers, and we'll get them milked out for whatever they have tonight. And yeah, the babies are going in the house tonight because I'm not gonna lose another one.
So this is the official first milking of the year.
Yes. Her kids are draining her pretty good. I don't know that I'm going to get anything out of her, but I'm going to try. Not to mention, good practice to get on the stand. She gets to know she's going to get a yummy treat. So, it's where it starts. And she's a first freshener, so she's not real in tune with being milked. There's a little, let me try to. A lot of times, right after they give birth, they have what's called udder tension, or a meaty udder, either or both. So you gotta really just kind of massage it to get any milk to drop down. So I'm gonna try to do that to try to get some milk out of her. Good girl.
So while Crystal is milking out Dreamer there, and Camera Boy is watering, Emily and I are gonna start taking babies in the house and getting these stalls ready for the next does that are coming in. You ready?
Yep.
All right, now the Dink-a-Dink has got some company. All right, we had Cassie here in this milk run right here for just a little bit, because Abilene went into labor. But now Cassie has her stall back. Give us a sec, Cassie. We'll have some nice, tasty hay coming your way.
Girl.
Now Dreamer has been drained out, and she is going to be the first doe in what we call the milk stall, which all eventually will change, but not today. Next up is the Lillister.
Ooh.
I don't think I've ever called her that.
I don't think so either.
She probably doesn't like it. Now it's Lily's doeling and her buckling's turn. All right, we are quickly running out of daylight. All the does that have kidded have been put on the milk stand and drained out. Maybelline was given an antibiotic, and they are now in the milk stall right there. And Abilene and Roxy are being a little vocal about it. All of the kids have been taken in the house because it's going to get cold tonight. We're not having another repeat of yesterday. Crystal and the kids are up here, and they are getting the next does that are closest to kidding and putting them in the birthing stalls. We still got a lot of work to do, and then a lot of computer work to do. So we will see you again soon.
Hello, patrons. We are at the landfill right now. There's the derrick. How's it smell out there, babe?
Who's hungry? Also, we never thought this would be possible until we had a...
All right, guys. Emily and I are all set up here in the kitchen to start making our... What kind of soap are we making?
Honey, oatmeal, goat milk, tallow soap?
You did it?
Yay!
Awesome.
So the story starts, we would improvise, we would adapt, we would overcome. We are about to take Grumpy Dog Dane here. Now, we've only had him in a vehicle 2 other times since he's been our dog, and it did not go well, so this is gonna be interesting. She's been with us ever since. She was 2 years old when we got her. Now we're vlogging in the parking lot and everybody's staring at us and it's really weird. My next project for today, had the Indiana Jones, my hat there. So we'll just count it down, 3, 2, 1, cheese or something. Good dog, Dana, good dog. Good dogs. Good dogs. Well, they've quieted down for now. But I'm sure they'll return. And there they are. They've returned. I'm kind of blind now.